Bristol Warren Regional School Committee to order. It's Monday, February 13th at 5:30 p.m. I will hand off to School Committee Carol.
Thank you. So, Madam Chair, the reason that we're here tonight is that the union is asking for a grievance hearing, and they have also asked that it be heard in executive session.
Public.
I'm sorry, public session, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're in public. So I'm going to ask the union to please present their case.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Brian Chittister. I'm the Vice President of the Bristol Warren Education Association. Tonight, I'm going to present the case briefly, and then we'd like to present a statement from the teachers who were the grievance in the original grievance. We think this should take no more than 10 minutes, and then we're happy to answer any questions that anybody may have. So Article 8D1 of our collective bargaining agreement states, ensure optimal teaching and learning conditions, coverage will be provided for all teaching staff, including but not limited to classroom teachers, itinerant teachers, specialists, and service hour teachers, which include Title I, special education, English language learners, and literacy teachers. Hugh Cole School is now running with one collaborative classroom per grade, which means that these classrooms are assigned a general educator and a special educator because the students with IEPs, the individual education plans, are assigned to those classrooms. This means there's a high level of need in these classrooms compared to others with just one general educator. Furthermore, as a result of the reorganization that happened coming into this school year, these classrooms do not have TAs assigned to them as the district has moved away from one-on-one TA student assignments. On several dates, including October 20th, November 28th and 29th, December 2nd, and December 5th through 8th, no coverage was provided when one of these collaborating teachers was absent. In all but one of these cases on these dates, the general educator was out for significant medical reasons, and the special educator had to manage the entire class, presumably with the expectation that she was also providing the special education services required by the students' IEPs. This was the immediate cause of the original grievance that we brought forth first to the principal and then to the superintendent. This same situation, we had that hearing back in January, and in December, and this same situation happened again on December 13th through 15th, January 31st, and February 7th and 8th. Now, we have a crisis of substitute coverage that is generalized across our district and really across the education sector. We're not special in this realm. In this instance, however, students have been impacted in a particular way, losing access to special education services and to adult attention in general. While the adult left in the room is being asked to perform 2 jobs, we think it is only fair that they be compensated double for those days, hence our requested resolution. In all honesty, however, it is the coverage that we really want, not the money. If this committee wants to resolve this grievance to the benefit of all, and especially the benefit of the children, you have to do better in finding substitute coverage. You're asking adults with a bachelor's degree to perform contingent labor in the tightest job market in decades, and you are offering them mere dollars above the starting rate for retail in our area. For comparison, sub pay in this district starts at $125 per day. Now, 6 3/4 hours, which is the teacher contract, at $16.50 per hour, which is the starting rate at Seasons Market in Swansea. I found out yesterday while getting gas, and the TV offered me a job there. You put that all together, those cashiers make $111.38 for 6.75 hours. Now, by contrast, the per diem rate for a step 1 teacher in our district with a bachelor's degree only is $251.71. For a step 12 teacher with a master's degree is $500.86. This is the cost of a teacher. This is the cost of having qualified individuals in front of students. We want you to understand both the economic and the human cost of failing or refusing to provide adequate sub-coverage to teachers. In the first instance, obviously, the students lose out because they lose access to adults. Beyond that, teachers who already feel tremendous pressure not to take days off, because we always hear about how many sick days teachers are taking, are then asked to do extra duty well beyond their contract. These teachers worked through extraordinary conditions in the pandemic. Now we face conditions of inflation at 6.5% last year, and while wages in the US rose 5.1%, our compensation has only increased by, on average, 1% or so in the last 3 years. We are seeing teacher burnout and demoralization at record levels. I've been in this career for over 20 years, and in the last 2, I have seen more teachers falling ill, dealing with major mental health issues of their own, or simply leaving the field than ever before. Teachers' working conditions are students' learning conditions. And if you want quality education in this district, and we all do, then you have to put the investment into it. That is the case that I have to lay out to you, and I'd like to ask Joy Richardson to come to the podium.
Good evening, school committee members. My name is Joy Richardson. I teach grade 1 at Hugh Cole Elementary.
My name's Noelle Weldon. I teach special ed in grade 1 at Hugh Cole.
My name is Jennifer McDonald, and I teach grade 3 at Hugh Cole.
And my name is Brittany Bouchard. I am the third grade special educator at Hugh Cole.
As you know, we are here to discuss the intention of our grievance. I would like to begin by reminding everyone here that Hugh Cole is the only elementary school in our district that is implementing the collaborative classroom model. The collaborative classroom is an inclusive learning environment that gives students of all abilities their least restrictive environment. This includes children who have individualized education programs, also known as IEPs, and students that do not. An IEP is a legal document that outlines how much time a student receives the direct services that they are entitled to, provided by the case manager, which in our case is the special educators. This model requires a general educator and a special educator to deliver the curriculum effectively and with fidelity. When you walk into a collaborative classroom, you should not be able to tell the difference between the general educator and the special educator. Both teachers provide whole group instruction, both teachers provide small group instruction, and both teachers provide direct instruction. In order for a collaborative classroom to run effectively, all components need to be put in place. When this model is not followed and one teacher is left alone to do the job of two, it is impossible to meet the needs of all of our students. The needs of our students include, but are not limited to, academic support, organizational support, transitional support, medical, behavioral, and social emotional supports. These supports are what our students are legally entitled to. Special education is not in lieu of the general education curriculum. It is in addition to it. When collaborative classrooms are not prioritized and coverage is not provided, we put the education of our most at-risk students in jeopardy. As educators, it is heartbreaking to watch students on the days when there is one of us struggle, knowing that if coverage was provided and there was another adult in the classroom, that this wouldn't be happening. Additionally, our frustration is there have been times when staff have been available to cover classrooms, but administration has chosen to disregard the needs of our most at-risk students and place available staff elsewhere. As a school committee, according to Article 8D1, you have recognized the rights of all teachers identified to provide a substitute teacher to achieve optimal teaching and learning conditions. We are simply asking for you to uphold what you have already established for teachers and our students. We are here because our job is to advocate for our students. That is what we are doing. We want collaborative classrooms to get the support that they are entitled to, and for our students to get the support that they deserve. Again, special education is not in lieu of the general education curriculum. It is in addition to it. We invite you to come in and experience the collaborative classroom and see firsthand how successful it is for our students, for all of our students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. If you have any questions, we're open to them.
Before we address any questions we may have of you, Superintendent Riley, would you like to respond?
Absolutely. So, a couple of corrections. Our sub rate is $140 for uncertified substitutes and $215 for certified subs. So just to be clear, we are working to improve that. We are in constant recruitment of substitute teachers. We hired one yesterday. We are constantly looking to keep those numbers up. Just a point of clarification in the contract, if we look at D versus D1, 8D says the school committee and the association recognize the desirability of achieving optimum teaching learning conditions by assuring proper classroom coverage. That is our goal. However, it is hard to fill every spot when attendance is a concern. We have co-teaching, by the way, collaborative classrooms are in every elementary school and the 6th grade at KMS. So every school has collaborative classrooms. That is something that has been a goal that we put into our strategic plan and something that we have been working to build throughout the district. Let me just see what else we have here. Special education services. So no child is going without services. So most services, I actually reviewed the IEP requirements for the Hugh Cole students. Other than one student, no student has more than a half hour, 5 times per day of math. Some might have math, writing, and literacy. So if you think about it, the maximum load would be an hour and a half, 5 days a week. And I'm going to have Dr. Caldwell probably speak to this a little better than I have. But currently, the point of the collaborative model is that although only an hour and a half of services may be required, when we have a co-taught classroom, the special educator is there for the full 6.5 hours. So students are presumably every day of the week getting much more than their minimum requirement by IEP. So that was the purpose of the collaborative classroom, is to improve the support for students. So in no way are we minimizing that. And in fact, the goal of the collaborative classroom was to add more support than was entitled to in the IEP. And Dr. Caldwell, could you just share a little bit about the average number of minutes versus a daily number of minutes?
Sure. So the IEPs that are written are based on an average, so that, as you've pointed out, if there are, in this case, if there are issues with absences, because students are already receiving the benefit of a co-teacher for the entire day, it's anticipated that those hours would be made up during that time. Now, if there were issues with significant absences where that couldn't happen, then we would have to address with compensatory services, which are generally offered during the summer. But as the superintendent pointed out, what I would say is, and as the union has pointed out, there has been a challenge getting substitutes. At the end of the day, we cannot create a body we don't have in the form of a substitute. So knowing that, I think that efforts have been made. But when we're talking about that service time, it is based on an average. Things happen. If that was the case, when things happen in the school, if there's special events, we could argue that maybe students shouldn't attend that, which we never do, because they might miss service time. So there are other factors that come into play when we talk about service time.
And the last thing I'll add is I did review the dates. I know the union shared some dates as they were providing evidence of the hearing, but I also reviewed the fill dates, and at Hugh Cole for the co-tots, which happens to be a total of 14 teachers because of departmentalization at grades 4 and 5. We have filled the classroom with a substitute 84% of the time. But I also want to point out that of that total of 14 staff, and this is not a judgment, people have been ill, but 9 of those 14 staff, as of today, have met the criteria for chronic absenteeism. People are ill, and we're trying to cover those classes, but this is a large number of absences to constantly fill. So it is, again, our desire to fill those whenever we can, but as Dr. Caldwell said, we cannot create a body that doesn't exist. We are constantly recruiting, hiring, training, getting people in. I think that is a common goal. It just can't happen every time, even though we'd like it to.
Thank you, Superintendent Riley. Do members of the committee have any questions of either Superintendent Riley or
I just want to first of all start by saying that I think listening to you all, nobody is doubting your commitment, and nobody can doubt your strong advocacy for your kids. And having had 3 kids go through Hugh Cole, I'm not surprised by that. My only question was to be for the superintendent, just to clarify that we did try and get substitute coverage for those days. There was nothing else happening that meant that these teachers didn't have subs in their classroom.
No, we call, every time there's an absence, the system calls for a sub and our staff call for subs. We have secretaries that are calling. In the morning, we have building subs at some of our buildings, so it is always the goal to get a substitute for an absence.
And I just want to touch a little on what Mr. Chittister said about the rate, because I don't have the date with me and the number, but I know last year or the year before we voted and almost doubled what we were paying our subs. And it didn't make any difference to the number of subs we had in our bank, because again, we know that teachers don't necessarily do this just for the money, thank God. And I know that increasing the amount that we paid our subs didn't seem to make any significant difference, which is not to say we shouldn't continue to work on this problem. And if it's financial or if it's something else, we definitely need to work out how to fix this problem. Anyone else?
I just wanted to thank Superintendent Riley and the rest of the staff for providing some background information, and thank you very much to the Teachers Union for explaining to us what your grievance was in detail. I appreciate the testimony, I guess is what we would call it. But thank you for your time.
Are there any other questions? Is there anything else you want to say?
Like, can I ask a question?
No, you need to answer the questions.
Oh, no, but I had a question.
No.
Okay, that's why I was just asking. I did not know.
Are we all set, Brian?
I think I'm all set. If anybody has some thoughts about more subs, I did have a couple thoughts that I might throw out, but maybe not right now, maybe for another time.
Thank you. I think that ends the hearing, and I think you can adjourn the meeting.
So I just want to clarify what happens next. So we go and report out to the full committee, correct?
Yes.
And then we issue our decision once the full committee has voted.
Correct. You're an advisory committee to the full committee.
Okay, I just want to clarify that so that everyone's on the same page. Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. Oh, yeah, we're done. I'll have a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.